Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Today we're going to do a pro and con distro review, and we're going to have a look at Bodhi Linux today. So, Bodhi Linux is it's an Ubuntu-based build, and it utilizes a newer desktop environment called is it Moksha? I believe it's how it's pronounced. So Moksha is based on the Enlightenment 17 desktop, and this is a distro I'm actually going to be watching pretty close. And the reason I really want to watch this is I liked the Enlightenment desktop, but it had an incomplete feel to it. It had an instability. When I boot the computer on, I get two little error messages that I found some instructions on how I can delete the error messages, but they weren't all that, wasn't the best solutions to do. And there were several places that I saw some desktop crashes and several other little issues with it. But what they claimed on the Moksha desktop is that they removed some of the things that did not really want to work well, and they added some things that they wanted to. And the kitty wants to say hello. Hi, kitty. Hey, kitty. All right. So I will have a kitty here for a few minutes. Let me, kitty cam. Well, let's see. Kitty's going to capture some stuff there, huh? All right. Anyway, every time I start talking, the cat comes up and decides it's time to hang out. That's actually what happens here. It's not some evil, devious plot to get kitties on the internet, but I don't know. Maybe it is. Who knows? I used to do some phone conferences for an academic software sales company, and every time I'd get on the phone, the cat would come and do this. So, kind of the perks and, nice stuff there. All right. So anyway, we're going to have a look over here at Bodhi. Once again, we're testing out the new mic placement settings. I am doing this recording on the new computer. So it'll look a little bit different and hopefully a little bit better. I've been playing around with the settings here, and I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on the mic placement now, that it's like no matter which way I look, I seem to get fairly consistent. The only thing I'm noticing on my tests is that I can really hear my clicks from my keyboard and my mouse. So, with that being said, here is the Bodhi Linux site. So this is bodhilinux.com is their main website. And when you come over here, they have some basic information. This is telling us it is based on the Ubuntu LTS, but they have cleaned up some of the packages. We have an app center, which is like a kind of like a web browser-based platform for you to install information. They do have forums with a lot of information. And you can see that they have some themes down here. And we're going to have a look at some of the setup here. Now, what is this? Here's the pronunciation. So the Moksha Desktop here. Like they said, it is based on the Enlightenment 17. But there's a lot of fixes. I did have the system crash on me once as I was doing my test. I'm not sure what caused that exactly. It might have been some other smaller random bug. And but regardless, I really like the Enlightenment desktop. It's just, for me, it felt incomplete in a way. It felt like there was something wrong with it, and so I didn't want to use this on a regular basis. The cat is alive. You're silly. This cat is silly. All right, but he is alive, apparently. Okay. Oh boy. So let's see what else we can find on the home page here. There's the blog, the download. We do have the 64-bit and the 32-bit options, and they actually also give us what we call a standard release and an app pack release. And the difference is the availability of software. So if and that was a really cool idea, because if you know from the video I had on Elementary OS, right? The biggest problem I had with Elementary OS, it was so light on system tools, but that can be a bonus, a benefit for people who want to add all their own stuff. And I looked at that and said, that might actually be a good option. And so they have an option like that, which has pretty much no software installed. You just have to go through and install the software that you would prefer. Then they have the app pack release, which has all of the various information, like the various packages that are common. So here you can see the differences. Your 64-bit, your legacy, your 32-bit. It does say lots of RAM. The Enlightenment desktop is a little heavier on system resources, although I think it's still only running on like 600 megabytes when I was looking. So here is the packages involved in the standard terminal. We have the Midori web browser, is their kind of web browser. We have Pacman file manager, ePad, text editor, ePhoto image viewer, ePdater, and ePulse audio settings. The app pack release has those items, and then it has a bunch more things. So it has the Chromium web browser installed, Libreoffice, VLC, OpenShot, Pinta graphics tool, and a few other items down here, HexChat, FTP, and printer and Samba support. So if you want those types of programs, then that's the one I installed. I had a look at the app pack, is the one I'm looking at here. I also really liked they had a lot of information, including information when we first log into the system. I'll show you where the information screen is. And when you first log in, it will give you that in a web browser view instead of a basic pop-up box view. There is forum, which I browsed through a little bit, asking a few questions, which was pretty nice. Anyway, we'll go ahead and jump into the distro here. So here's the kind of the cool thing about running on this new system is I'm going to run this in a VirtualBox here, and my VirtualBox actually has 8 gigs of RAM. And we actually seem to get a little bug there when we switched over. So this is actually supposed to be my main taskbar. So let me see if I can get this restored without having to force everything to reboot. And this is possibly due to having the system actually minimized down and stuff. So this is, like I said, Enlightenment does have some instability. These are some of the types of issues that I've encountered on Enlightenment before on OpenSUSE. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and transition back to full screen here while I get this guy fixed back up. It should not take very long. And I think that's probably happened simply due to the fact that we were minimizing the screen for so long and such. All right, so here we are booted back on. That's what's nice about this new computer build. Even in the VirtualBox, this thing runs like a regular beast because it has just as much RAM and processing power as the other computer did. So I kept a lot of the things the same. The only thing that I really added, I had to repair the bottom taskbar here. I accidentally killed it. I was forgetting a little bit about Enlightenment right away. But I went ahead and restored it. I think this is pretty close to what you're going to get when you first log into it and install Bodhi. We have a power button over here, which gives you the options in the middle of the screen here: lock, log out, reboot, etc. We have the internet connectivity. We have a clock, a desktop switcher. I think there was something else over here. There's processor temperature items that you can put on here. We also have down in the lower corner here, we have a menu item here. I thought I put on another menu item. Maybe I accidentally killed it. But here we have a basic menu item. And in the Enlightenment desktop, you can get to the menu also by left-clicking, not right-clicking, but left-clicking anywhere on the desktop. You get a modified menu here, which allows you to do a lot of things. So we have the built-in, the new web browser, it's Midori. And I'm not quite sure what this was based on. I did not get that much research into it. But here it loads up into this page here, which actually gives you a very nice getting started. So connecting to the internet, how to install software, all the basics. So there's a lot of good, useful information for anybody in here wanting to get started with the system. This is a web browser here. You also have Chromium as an option over here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the theme. One of the things I liked about Enlightenment is it had a lot of really nice theme elements to it that you can do. Like if you see I'm hovering over this and you'll see it kind of pulsates there a little bit. I really like that look. It does balance the flat theming that we get with some skeuomorphism, and it kind of gives it a very unique look to it. So we're going to go in here and we're actually going to theme this guy up. So in the settings panel here, our settings panel looks like this. And in the Enlightenment settings, there's so many things in here. You could spend a day configuring your system. And we can do everything from how the window borders, but we can actually override window borders on everything as well. You know, that's actually something I don't have running is the tasks there. So you'll see that I don't have that running. I'm going to fix that real quick. In case you run into an issue, like you can see I have Chromium running, but I don't have the taskbar listed over here. I got to find where that is. So I'm going to right-click the desktop, go over, and I want to say it's shelves. So the shelf 0 is the name of this shelf. This was something that I did not get rebuilt correctly. We're going to come down here to contents. And then I have to remember which item is system tray. I think, is it tasks? Oh, that crashed the system. So you see that they do not have all of the Enlightenment bugs worked out. This is why I was using Enlightenment for a while in OpenSUSE, and I got rid of it just because that very thing. It was just there it is. Yep, there it is. Okay, so it's not totally buggy. It's not totally crashy, but it's crashy and buggy enough that it recovers very, very, very well. It's just kind of annoying at times. So now we want to move it over to its more traditional location if you're used to a Windows platform. So I'm going to right-click over here. Actually, I think I should probably right-click over something like this one instead. I'm going to hit the begin removing gadgets, and now I can drag these guys around. I could literally drop it right in the middle if I wanted. We're going to slide it way over here. And then just right-click on anything and hit Stop Moving Gadgets. So now I put my tasks back. That's the one I was forgetting to put back. And you'll actually see that flickering there was the desktop crashing again. So it does not quite have the stability that I'd like it to have, but it is. I can say it's a little bit more of an improvement over the basic Enlightenment. I'm just noticing a little bit more of the instability. Wallpapers were very light. We have the one wallpaper here, unless there might be more, but I was not able to find any others. So if they do happen to give us any more wallpapers, I have no idea where they are. The application theme, this is nice because we do have the application themer. So if you want to go with a light or a dark theme on your basic applications that are not related to the system elements, you can change them over here. What we're going to look at is the theme. Again, we're very light on the themes. We can go online and pick up some more. And I was expecting to find more themes based upon the things that I saw. We just crashed again. Okay. So this is going to be a big con for me, as it seems as though it's crashing a little bit. Okay, recovered well that time. All right. So there's the default theme. So this is what the default theme looks like. Gives us a little bit more. I'm not sure if this is a little newer or a little older looking UI. It's definitely not newer. I don't think it's quite Windows 95 or Windows 98, but it does have a little bit older elements. I like it. It's pretty cool. It's a little bit better, in my opinion, than this one is a little too flat for me. But actually, the one I really liked is this green. This green is pretty sweet. I like this theme. It gives me some nice gradienting elements. I like the green settings. It kind of reminds me of back in college. I had on my desktop computer, or on my laptop computer at college, I had one of the first DVD drives, which basically required a DVD card and then a DVD drive inside of the computer. And that it took both pieces of hardware to actually play a DVD at that time. But it would play it over what you'd call the auto default background. And so I developed an entire desktop theme that was all auto background theme, but all the window borders, texts, and fonts were all this neon green, and I could literally watch a DVD in the background of everything that was going. So and the green was bright enough that I wasn't getting hung up over anything, and so I'm literally playing a movie behind my workflow. It was like kind of the coolest thing. It's kind of neat. So I like these green themes. Of course, as you probably may have guessed if you've watched my videos enough, I'm trying to grab that. I don't really like the icons, and so I gotta track down where the icons changed again. Let's see. There's colors, fonts. I thought it was under the same section over here. Here's your colors, so you can set your border frames and override the basic colors. This is a nice feature here. You can set your borders. And one of the things I really liked about the Enlightenment desktop, particularly recording on it, is you can actually override all of these menu items for each individual window. So you can go with no borders on anything, which is actually, I found, was very handy when I was recording with Simple Screen Recorder and GCU View, or whatever that program's called, because I could put my camera up there in the corner like you see it. When I did that, then I was actually able to just get rid of the border so you didn't see the title there. Okay, there's your transitions, scales. There's the cat. Came back for more video interruption. I don't remember where the system icons were. I thought it was under the look. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's right. So that's what I was forgetting, is each of these items here may very well have a few different things on them. And in this case here, we have our applications here. We have our icon settings here. So it's under application theme settings, and everything crashed again. All right. So let's see. Go back into settings. Let's see if there's anything under that one. Nope. Okay, so under icons, we can select from a variety of different icons. So we have GNOME, we have the high contrast, and we have several of these installed, which are all essentially the same icons. These, again, are these kind of squarey, newer looking ones I'm not a big fan of. So I'm going to go back to the Adwadia ones. I just like these icons. They look pretty cool. All right. So there's a little bit about the theming. We've already looked at, the biggest con so far that I'm seeing is I am getting some instability. For me, in my general workflow, the next big negative here is I can't work off the desktop. So I can add icons to the desktop by adding gadgets. Like this Places up here is actually a very nice way I can get into my folders. So I could do this as a means and just work out of the basic folders because I have access to the full system up here. But all that being said, I really would like to be able to download things to the desktop, manipulate with the desktop, and move things to the places where I want them at the time that I want them. So for me, this is a negative and this is a function of this particular desktop because on my OpenSUSE running Enlightenment, I can actually work off the desktop without a problem. Now, some people suggest a few different ways to get around that, and some of them work, some of them really don't. So although I like the way the desktop works, it is the negative for me is that I can't work off the desktop. So this is, I might do this for something that looks cool, but it would not be a very productive type computer for me. So let's have a look at the applications. The applications we have, we've already looked at some of these here, but we have some basic utilities. I think XF burn, I think that's a CD burning. No burners currently available. Okay. I think that that's a CD burner. It may not be detecting that my CD-ROM here is actually available. Possibly a pass-through issue. All right, so we have, here's OpenJDKey, here's your printers. We do have Synaptic Package Manager, so if there is some packages you are interested in that are not easily available elsewhere, you can grab them from the Package Manager. Under programming, we have, I'm not familiar with what Genie is. Or is it Genie? I don't know. How's that pronounced and what is it? I've never used that program. Somebody let me know. Under education, here's our Libreoffice. Here's your calculate. Is this a calculator? Okay, now I don't want to download anything. So we have a calculator, which I guess has some currency conversions available if you go online for that. We do have, under games, we have Play on Linux and Steam pre-installed. I'm going to get back to Play on Linux in a minute. I'm going to rant about that a little bit in a few minutes here. Under your graphics, we have LibreDraw, we have ImageMagick, Pinta. Under Internet, we have Chromium. There's been a trend in some distros moving towards using Chromium instead of Firefox, possibly because Google Chrome is one of the most popular browsers today. I still prefer Firefox. If I were using this on a regular basis, that's one of the first things I'd do is I'd get rid of Chromium or just keep Chromium but just install Firefox. We do have HexChat. Midori is another web browser. We also have a private browsing Midori. Pigeon is installed. Again, Steam is under Internet too, and we have Transmission. Sound and video, it gives us OpenShot by default. We have VLC and we have the XF Burn. And under Office, we have the full LibreOffice suite. Okay, so here you can see that it is giving us some Wine configurations. And that's kind of one of the things I'm going to kind of go off on a little rant here. Is there's been this really big trend lately, and especially in these smaller distros, with pre-installing and pre-configuring Wine on a Linux platform. And a lot of them are doing it so that they can throw in this tagline, works with your Windows programs too. And I think it's such a misconception. First is, let's raise the cat from the dead, apparently. Okay. First is, not all Windows programs work under Wine, and I wonder if sometimes the people who are doing these distros realize that. Like, I have not gotten any of my modern programs to work. However, I don't have a lot of them, and B, I don't try much. There's just so many other programs that work, within the efficiency level that I need within Linux to not have to worry about it. And so when you get that premise where we try and install Wine to say, hey, you can run your Windows programs on this too. Wine is something you should not have on your Linux computer unless you absolutely need it. The reason for that is because if Wine is installed, you can run DLL files, and that could mean a virus can run on your Linux computer if you have Wine installed and things are not configured properly. And so this trend to put Wine onto all of these small Linux distros so that they can come out and say, hey, we can run your Windows programs over here. To me, it's misleading. And it kind of flies in that face to say, the purpose of switching over to Linux, there's several different purposes. One of those would be moving towards a more open source platform. One of those could be maybe you just are sick of software licenses. Now, All that being said, it is great that you do have the capability of running some Linux programs, some Windows programs on a Linux system. It's a good thing to have as an option and know that it's there if you need it system. But just having Wine out dangling, to me, I'm going to call that a con. Because unless you know you need it, unless you know that you're installing Windows programs, and unless you know those programs will run under Wine, it's not a platform or a program or a package that we should have ready on your Linux machine. Because it's just, it opens up one more backdoor for problems and challenges. And the reason I like to run Linux is I can close the back doors quite a bit easier. So that is, to me, a con. So if I can remember here all of the pros and all of the cons. Actually, let me just say outright, as you notice here on my folder, it should be able to access my network drives. I'm not seeing any. I did run into this same problem actually on my OpenSUSE with Enlightenment. I had to fight for a while to figure out the networking. So it does not find network. I was able to find, though, that if I just come up here and I know the network, I'm not sure why it keeps on auto-capitalizing, but if I just come up here and I know the network name that I'm looking for, I can actually come in here and access them. If I log in over here, then I can actually access all my files. So I can get into them, but just take note, it does not find your network stuff right away. And this is the Nautilus file manager, I believe. Of course, they said something else elsewhere, but I guess I'm getting information. Okay, we're Pac-Man. I'm sorry. Somewhere I saw Nautilus was the file manager. I thought it was on their main website. Maybe I read wrong or something. So Pac-Man is the file manager here. So let's see. So overall, brief summary. Pros for me: the desktop is cool. We are getting a lot of system crashes in the settings, but I'm not seeing a lot of system crashes otherwise. Although I haven't used it much more than jumping on the internet. Other pros, we do have a very nice implementation of a very nice desktop, albeit it's a little immature desktop, but it is cool, and I really do like the look of the Enlightenment system. There is the capabilities of running a lot of gizmos and gadgets on your desktop, so you could literally set this up for all sorts of weird stuff you can do just by coming into here. And in fact, to add things to the desktop is a little complicated, so we'll walk through that. I want to say it's module. Nope, it is gadgets. I was thinking it's either gadgets or modules under there. So you go under gadgets and you grab background, and then we hit configure layer, and now I can actually add stuff here. So if I go ahead and add a clock, I can now resize the clock, and I can put a big old clock over here on my desktop somewhere, and then I can move it around. Maybe I want to come over here and see a digital and an analog clock. We also can put in pagers. We can put in let's see, the start menu here, which should be the same as this one, I believe. But there's actually another menu that actually might be. Actually, I think everything starter. Let me remove. Okay, well that just crashed. Never mind. There was a everything starter, which is a very nice. Let me go ahead and get that back. I keep on doing that. I keep on getting it confused whether it's the gadgets or the modules. So here, configure background layer. Can I remove the everything starter? Let me add it back. Okay, so the everything starter here is a very nice, just clicking that so I can get off of this. It's a very nice application starter where if you click on this, it brings up this menu here, which will allow you to go quickly between all the different applications. Which is actually just a very, very nice implementation. You could actually put this down as your main bar down here, which your Windows key does not work for the menu, by the way. So even if this menu, if this one's not all that good for you, especially since you can click here and get the same thing anywhere, you might actually replace that menu here. And if you were to do that, then just go ahead and click your button and you get this guy in the middle of the screen. A little bit different, but it is a nice application. So that's just a little bit more there. So pros, awesome desktop. It does have, I have seen a lot of improvement over Enlightenment. There is a little bit of instability. We can put a lot of neat gizmos and gadgets on the desktop, but a con for me is I can't work off of the desktop. And so for me, that's a con. I also list the con that it has Wine installed. And with Wine being installed by default, if I don't have a purpose to run Windows applications, Wine should not be on your Linux box. Okay, just leave it off. And so I don't like that that's there. Even Steam, having Steam there, I realize Steam is becoming a big thing, but I don't play any games on Steam. I don't have a Steam account. I have no purpose for it. So for me, I wouldn't want to use that. It's nice to have LibreOffice. However, all of the application cons are also alleviated by the fact that you have a standard install with bare bones, so I can come in here and install exclusively the packages that I want. So all of those cons are kind of taken out by that one fact that they did give you the option as to what you can do. So it is, in that respect, it is a very nice implementation. Of course, it is built on the Ubuntu LTS, so we should not have any instability issues here. I think that's about it. As far as a quick overview here, I do like the implementation. I like the look of it. Like I said, if this were a stable desktop and I could work off the desktop, I'd actually use this as a daily driver. I just remember using Enlightenment on OpenSUSE for a month, and it kind of became a pain every now and again. However, all that being said, that is the system. If I need to run Windows on top of a Linux machine, that is actually my system that has Windows 10 installed on top of it. So, very nice application, easy to theme, lots of good options, and there is quite a bit of settings. You could spend a lot of time in here playing. A little bit different of a desktop, so if you're not used to not wanting to try something new, you can do that. But overall, it is a very nice platform. I think I'm not even sure it's a full total release. I've just encountered this a few times. Let me quickly look at the system resources while we're at it. Then we'll wrap it up. I gotta remember where that was. The things I don't like is there's not a good search function like there is on most of your other platforms. I know there's something here. Maybe we'll have a look. No. Well, I'm not quite sure where... I thought there was a system monitor on here. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. Let's see here. Oh, there's the quick launcher again. I cannot seem to find... I thought it did have a... I thought it did actually have a platform there for looking at the... See if HTOP is installed. All right, there we are. All right, so here, the computer has 4 processors. We are running, wow, that's actually really good. We're running 268 megabytes out of 8 gigs. Give this thing. All right, and almost no system resources. So maybe if you're looking for a lightweight distro and you don't mind the occasional desktop crashes, this might actually be one to check out. I'm not running on much here, so that is a neat application. Okay, well, that is Bodhi Linux, and thanks for checking this out. And with all of that being said, this has been Tom, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.